Siomra beag.
Fáilte ras go dtí an siomra beag is Misha Mickey of McRide. On characters fearn Aaron. Agus tá mé seo sa siomra beag a ríis leis an fear dugan siad an sasanach beag is Ben.
Yeah, it's Misha A. Sasnageen, the little Englishman.
An Sasnageen for.
Of course, ladies and gentlemen, I'm joined in the tiny room this week by noted podcast favourite, Michael McRide. How are you doing, Michael?
It's Misha Michael McRide.
Yeah, who gets more and more like Rick from Rick and Morty every single episode he's on.
Tá sé anna de fuel. Jaden Sheed Oscar Ben. I can't do the voice.
That's Anna Jacker. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
I can't do the voice and the Irish at the same time. I can do one or the other, but I can't do both.
This is the theme music.
Theme music for the podcast. We don't actually have any theme music.
Very good. Well, look, Benjamin, if that fucking travesty hasn't put people off the podcast, nothing will.
That was the worst intro we've ever had in the history of this podcast.
There'll be no fucking listeners now, Ben, so we can do whatever we want for the rest of this episode.
And I can't blame them. Yeah,
that was very bad. I do apologise.
Oh,
It's very hard, Ben. It's very hard to do a funny voice at the same time as doing a different language.
Yeah, no, that's two conflicting goals.
Yeah.
Not great, Michael.
You know, the whole point of Michael McRide is that he has a funny voice and he pronounces things in a funny way. But then that's just Irish, isn't it? Doing a funny voice and pronouncing
That is literally, you have defined the Irish language there, Michael. It's just quite a few Gaelgors that have just tuned out completely.
It's just English in a funny voice and pronounced in a funny way.
Categorically untrue, ladies and gentlemen. Happy shocked in the Gaelga to anyone who is at all interested in that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We're approaching, ladies and gentlemen, that most sacred of Irish days, St. Paddy's Day.
Yeah.
And of course, we're not having it again, lads, because fucking COVID.
I tell you what, Ben, it's a year. We're on our 1 year anniversary of distance podcasting.
Yeah, do you remember that one? Remember when we used to make jokes about lock-ins? We had an episode called Bleeding Lock-In because we thought it'd be funny to go back to the digital tiny room.
Hilarious.
Yeah, hilarious.
Benjamin, of course, we've always been doing it this way. Look, we're trailblazers, Ben. But we're only trailblazers in so much. I can't speak today. I thought it was the Irish thing, but it wasn't. It's just I've lost continents. Benjamin, coherence. I meant not. I haven't shat myself. Benjamin. What are we talking about? Speaking of trailblazers, the Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to be on next week. Isn't that exciting?
Yeah, and again, Michael, I'm not sure I care.
Look, Ben, go on. You talk about it there.
So we got a little teaser again, Michael, and it came in the form of the big three, Michael. And you'd think, Michael, if you were a Marvel fan in any way, you might say, bloody Thor, Captain America,
Iron Man,
and Iron Man.
Oh, I've done four there, I think.
You've done four there, but that's all right. You can have the big four, Michael. There's probably a big four somewhere.
Mm.
And no, he doesn't say that at all, Michael. It's aliens,
androids, wizards,
and wizards. And of course, Michael, they have a little witty tete-a-tete then, where Bucky is like, "There's no such thing as wizards." Like, how do you know about Lord of the Rings? And then Bucky does like a Tolkien flex.
Yeah.
On him, where he's like, I read the original in 1937
when I was alive.
Came out.
Yeah, because I was alive then. If you remember, I was frozen in time.
Yeah, and I was just like, okay, weird. That's a weird joke. Just to show that I'm an old man, even though I was technically defrosted before Steve Rogers and have actually done a lot of missions and lived by myself for a long old time, and I just found it very strange, Michael, as a joke.
I don't think he has done a lot of missions and lived by himself for a long time.
He did the 90s.
Yeah, but they refrosted him.
Oh, every time.
They refrosted him between missions, so he was cryogenically frozen.
Never mind then.
So he hasn't aged.
Never mind then.
Yeah, so he'll be fine.
Never mind
the
then.
whole thing, Ben, seems to be built around them annoying each other.
Michael, I did watch it and think they should have a podcast.
They should have a podcast together where they
It's
annoy
very
each other.
similar to the type of humor that we would have. Wizards wear hats.
Yeah.
Not sorcerers.
I'd be a bit upset if that was the best we could do, to be honest with you. I think funny voices, that's where we really shine.
Funny voices and native language characters. That's
just
our little niche.
Something good and offensive.
Good. Just to make sure everybody leaves with a slightly sour taste in their mouth.
Yeah. Just really offend the native language of our country and heritage and just really muck it up. That's where we focus. That's where we do our best work.
That's our sweet spot.
Yeah. Benjamin.
Yeah.
Do you think, though, that, and I know you do because we've talked about this nearly every week, there's not as much excitement about this because it's not as high concept as WandaVision?
So, I don't think it's going to land as well, Michael. I don't think it's going to... Tell me something. What is the popularity of the Falcon within the MCU? Is he a popular character?
Yes, I believe he is, Ben, but it's almost impossible to answer that because how could you tell? There's very little metric. Fair. He has been in 3 of the top 5 highest grossing films of all time.
Which is good work for
Anthony Mackie.
Good for him.
Good for Anthony Mackie, and he seems to be a popular and beloved character. He has action figures, and they sell. But it's very hard to tell with a side character in a huge ensemble piece like that how popular that side character is, and this will tell us, really.
I know that Bucky has the shipping community behind him. But I don't know if Sam Wilson has the shipping community behind him.
Well, there's that, but there's also the fact, Ben, that I have seen way more Winter Soldier cosplays and costumes than I have Falcon. Now, Ben, that might be reflective of the white-nosity of the country that we live in.
Yes.
That people tend to stick to Bucky here, and maybe if you went to a more racially diverse country, you would see more Falcons. But Ben, that assumes that you have to dress the same race as your cosplay character.
Oh, well, that's a whole can of worms, Michael, that we're not opening today.
We won't go into that, Ben. Not today. Not after that embarrassment of an Irish insult as an opener. Benjamin, though.
Yeah, we've probably skirted.
Yeah, let's leave culture alone for the rest of the day. Benjamin.
Yeah.
Do you think that the new show will fan the flames of fan disappointment in the same way that WandaVision did?
Michael, I think you've just come across a brand new segment.
It's our new
to
segment,
replace
Ben.
The audacity. We now have fanning the flames. How to disappoint your fans, even though it's not really your fault.
Yes, not how to disappoint your fans. How to fire your fans up so much that they end up disappointing themselves.
I know it's a real art, Michael. It's a real art.
Ben, it's funny because you have been going on about this for years, and anytime you've brought it up in the past, I'd be like, oh, here goes Ben on another one about pandering to fandoms, for God's sake. And you used to bring this up all the time in relation to what was once your favourite television show, Richard and Mortimer.
Oh, yes. Richard and Mortimer.
Oh, it's not Richard, is it? It's Ricardo.
It's Ricardo and Mortimero.
Yes.
The Spanish language adult comedy.
Yes. Do you want me to do an insulting voice in Spanish?
No, I don't.
All right, I won't then.
No.
Fine, I won't then.
Racism is my thing on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
You start stepping on my toes.
Hola! Soy Michael McRide.
Oh, Jesus. First of all, it would be Soy Miguel McRide.
No, I'm still Michael McRide even when I'm in Spanish. It's an insultingly Irish character who happens to speak Spanish that I've created.
My mother was a Spanish.
Sí.
And my father was an Irishman.
And my mother was also Irish.
Okay, and that's the Spanish listeners gone. So we're just working our way through.
Through them.
I think, Michael, we've basically just confirmed that Mephisto is going to be in Winter Soldier and Falcon because they mention wizards and sorcerers. So I think it's fair to say that Mephisto has started a terrorist organization. And he's going to be revealed to be the mastermind. He brought Zemo back from the dead.
Yes.
With the power of the Soul Stone.
Soul Stone. Let's go with Soul Stone.
Soul Stone.
Zemo wasn't dead though.
The penultimate boss for Winter Soldier and the Falcon will be the two young fellas from WandaVision.
Yeah, and Nightmare, the character Nightmare, played by Neil Gaiman himself.
And at the end, Doctor Strange will come in and say, "Stop this. I've come to bargain."
I'm telling you two guys, I'm here, I've flown in from America, where I am from, and I'm telling you guys to stop doing this battle.
I don't have time for this. I'm the Sorcerer Supreme.
God damn it, guys, I am the Sorcerer. I've seen 1 million different outcomes, and all of them, I've never learned the accent in any of the outcomes.
Quickly devolved into the the Cumberbatch podcast.
Yeah, look, Benjamin, it is interesting, though, because you used to go on about this all the time about Richard and Mortimer, and I used to think you were a bit of an exaggerator, but it's really come to the fore in WandaVision, and the audacity, Ben, to harken back to the audacity of some people not liking that ending of WandaVision because it didn't match up to the mad expectations that they had come up with in their head. Now, I've nothing against Ben not liking it for its own merit. Like, if you were disappointed that it came down to laser battles as usual, fine.
Yeah.
But if you're disappointed that Evan Peters didn't bring the whole Fox X-Men and Michael Fassbender's Magneto and also Ian McKellen's Magneto and Mephisto and Nightmare, you're a lunatic.
Well, it's just, you don't get to... There's a reason certain people get paid to write things. It's do you know what I mean? The level of restraint required for a lot of those Marvel writers must be intense, because obviously you have some hardcore fans sitting there being like, "Oh, I get to write this. I could put Mephisto in it." And then you have to be like, no, I couldn't put Mephisto in it. That'd be silly.
Yeah, just put Dormammu in it and have him be a big face.
Yeah, but then don't forget, like, you have to have Kevin Feige drop into the writer's room every 5 minutes and be like, "Don't forget the laser battle." And you'd be like, "Oh, well, actually, Kevin, we were thinking of taking a different tactic. Don't forget the laser battle."
Put a fucking laser battle in it.
Yeah, put the laser battle in, or else it gets the hose again.
Yeah.
And it's, that's a tough working environment, Michael. But I don't know if this show is going to have the same level of what the fuck is going on.
Well, it's not going to fan the flames as much as what you're saying.
Yeah, the premise, as you said, was high concept in WandaVision. It's not... Having not seen the show, Michael, I can't say with 100% certainty, but I'm guessing it's not going to be as high concept. It's going to be far closer to a bloody Jack Reacher, a Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit with some wings and a metal arm.
Yeah, and Ruby Rose.
And a Ruby Rose. Yeah, because there's a new SAS thing on Sky that we keep getting ads for, where Ruby Rose proves, yet again, Michael, she's just a wooden board with a different haircut in every goddamn thing she does.
Same haircut.
It's the same haircut. Oh, God. Anyway, Ruby Rose is back on television. That's interesting. But yeah, so I don't know if they're going to be given as many opportunities to be like, "Oh, it was Agatha all along."
Having said that, Ben, Captain America the Winter Soldier, not Captain America the Winter Soldier, Captain America the Civil War, Captain America, he's having a fight with his mates.
Having a scrap.
Yeah, was one of the best subversions of that trope we've seen in Marvel, where you thought he was going in to do a big laser battle with all the other super soldiers, and he'd have to team up with Iron Man and Winter Soldier, and they'd have to fight all these, and then they got there and they were all dead, and they just had a fight between the three of them.
Yeah, they all ripped each other apart, Michael.
Yeah, but in quite a small scale fight.
Yeah, they had their own little personal, their little personal demons came out to play, Michael, and we had a little bloody scrap.
Yeah, I wouldn't be enormously surprised to see a big epic battle in this, but that might not resolve the plot. I think the plot might be resolved with shenanigans.
Yeah, so Winter Soldier will come across Zemo and say, "Have you heard of the ship of Theseus?"
Have you heard of the ship of Theseus? Have you heard of the broom of that guy from Only Fools and Horses?
The broom of Del Boy?
Yeah, no. Who's the old guy in Only Fools and Horses, Ben? I've never seen it.
The broom of Grandad, or the broom of Uncle Albert.
I think it might be Uncle Albert, but yes.
Anyway, why are you making it Only Fools
because
and
it's
Horses?
a famous Only Fools and Horses thing that happened in Only Fools and Horses, where they had an argument about if they replaced the handle and then later replaced the head, is it the same brush? Only Fools and Horses is way ahead of Vision, Ben, in your metaphysical...
That's the deepest cut, Michael.
Yeah. It's very famous. It's a famous segment.
That's an obscure BBC 70s joke.
Yeah, well, it happened. Look it up.
That's it. We've peaked. That's
peaked.
it, Michael.
Now, Benjamin.
Yeah.
I think that's the end of the segment, Fanning the Flames. Benjamin, you have said there that the people who are paid to write on television are highly paid professionals who show a lot of restraint, and therefore we should trust them. Do you think that's...
Sometimes.
Yeah, all right. So do you think that's always the case, Ben? And unrelated to that question, have you seen Star Trek Lower Decks?
So, Michael, I was watching Bob's Burgers, as I'm wont to do, Michael. Bob's Burgers is my wind-down show. Bob's Burgers
Benjamin.
is my...
As we call it in this podcast, Robert's Hamburgers.
Robert's Hamburgers, Michael.
Yes.
Robert's Steamed Hams,
Yes,
Michael.
very good. Simpsons, I've seen it.
And, I often watch that to have a little wind down. And then, Michael, I saw, you like Bob's Burgers, perhaps you'll like. And I saw Lower Decks, Michael. And I went, that's interesting. Somebody's taking the piss out of Star Trek. But then, Michael,
Yes.
having watched it, they're not taking the piss out of Star Trek. It is Star Trek.
It is Star Trek. It's Star Trek taking the piss out of itself.
Now, Michael, if I was a Star Trek fan,
Yes.
I don't think I'd like that show very much.
Benjamin, why don't you tell us and the listeners a little bit more about it before we give out about it?
Fair enough. So the lower decks.
The Lower Decks, that's fine. You can say that.
The Lower Decks is a televisual cartoon, much in the style of a Family Guy or a Rick and Morty. I think they're very much going for a Rick and Morty vibe.
Yeah, it's Rick and Morty. It's Rick and Morty. Ben, I want you to do me a favour.
Go on.
I want you to imagine that the very popular among the kids show Richard and Mortimer.
Yes.
Imagine that show, which is very popular and successful and makes a lot of money. Imagine if that was in Star Trek.
Oh, that'd be awful.
Yeah, no, that would be... We'll call it Lower Decks.
So what it centers around, I suppose, is the support crew of one of the huge, not Enterprise ships, what are they called? Starships.
Starships, yes.
Of the Starfleet.
Starfleet,
Command.
that's right, yeah, well done. Good.
Am I right? Am I getting there?
Starfleet, yeah.
And what it is, Michael, is just tons in-jokes about the Star Wars universe.
Star Trek.
Star Trek universe.
You've lost some
That's what I
listeners
said.
there.
I was testing you. And yeah, basically, you can imagine it. It's like, those elite people on the upper decks. Oh, they don't know what real space adventuring is about. And it's just, if you enjoy the philosophical elements of Star Trek, if you enjoy the decorum and the codes of honor and the rules of Star Trek, if you like the world it's built as like noble star voyagers going across the universe, this is a real spit in your face to that, because it just belittles all your favorite characters by basically calling them arrogant arseholes. It's a really interesting choice. I think I found myself watching it going, wow, I bet Mick hates this.
Right, all right then. Here we go, right? I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I don't particularly dislike it because of it being insulting to Star Trek. Because although a big Star Trek fan am I, Ben, I'm also not that precious about keeping things the way they are. I enjoy Star Trek the original series. I enjoy Star Trek The Next Generation. I absolutely love Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I found Voyager all right. Enterprise was on the weaker side of okay, and I don't really like Discovery.
Okay.
So that's where we stand. But I'm not that precious about Star Trek. I don't think anyone should be exempt from being made fun of, and I like the fact that they're making fun of themselves. It's Star Trek making fun of themselves. I like that. But as a Star Trek comedy series, it's not as good as Seth MacFarlane's Star Trek. What's that called?
The Orville.
The Orville, yeah. It's not as good a Star Trek parody as The Orville, which is unofficial, but The Orville is much more... It feels much more Star Trek than this
That's
does.
because it's a direct copy of Star Trek The Next Generation, if Seth MacFarlane wrote it.
Yeah. It is.
That's what it is.
Whereas this is Star Trek mocking itself.
Yeah, but they don't do it with any great
Yeah, well, that's where I was going with this. My issue with it is just it's not that funny. It's not that good. It's Rick and Morty light. Mariner, the lead character, is a female Rick.
Yeah,
she's just Rick. She's the best at everything. She has all the information. She
has a huge history with all the different species.
She knows every important person in the galaxy, and she's only in her early 20s, and it's inexplicable. And Jack Quaid's character, Jack Quaid, is in this.
Yeah, he's Morty.
He's Morty, yeah. He's a rule-abiding, nervous, shy, timid guy who's dragged off on her adventures. Now, having said that, from a Star Trek perspective, he is a much better Starfleet officer than her, obviously.
Yeah.
But that's not what it's about. Like, she should be in jail. It's odd, the parallels she has with Michael Burnham.
Who? Now, sorry, you're going to have to explain that to me.
Michael Burnham is the main character in Discovery.
Okay.
And Michael Burnham was also court-martialed and spent time in prison and, is an awful Starfleet officer who is released from prison and through circumstance becomes the most important person on the Discovery.
Is this the female character that leads Discovery?
Yes.
Okay. I got confused by the name Michael.
Yeah, it's a male name generally, Ben, but this is the future, and that's fine. It doesn't
matter. Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me. I don't find it odd that I find someone with my own name attractive. I find myself attractive. I
have often caught you, Michael, staring into your own mirror and been told by your good lady friend that I'll have to wait in the sitting room until you're done.
That's true. That's not a joke. You're just going to have to wait for him to finish up because he's looking at himself. Benjamin. Not a joke. That's a true fact. But it's funny. It is funny that the characters who don't abide by the rules of Star Trek and of Starfleet and don't fit in with the command scheme are now the default cool characters. I think it's a misunderstanding of James T. Kirk. Because it's also true. I know a lot of YouTube lunatics, Ben, hate it because both of these characters are women.
Oh,
and yeah,
that's a different issue.
Yeah, that's a whole different issue. You stay out of that. That's thorny because it's exactly the same issue with new Kirk in the movies.
Yeah, he's not great.
He's the same type of cavalier I've been court-martialed and it's fine idiot, and essentially it's mixing up it's mixing up people's notions of what Kirk was. Because
it's the highlight reel of Kirk's bad behavior without the underlying do your duty Kirk.
Yeah. They've taken away the whole he's risen up through the ranks. Original Kirk rose up through the ranks through competence and being a good commander, and occasionally was a bit of a loose cannon, but not in a subordinate way, in a thinking outside the box way.
Yeah, but this is what it takes to get it done.
Not even that far. He wouldn't... There's lots of things that Kirk wouldn't... Kirk was just a good captain.
Okay.
He was a good captain, then.
He was a good man.
He was a good captain. He was one of the best captains ever. And he caused ripples in Starfleet, but it wasn't to the extent where most of Starfleet wants him out. But it's the gradual coalescing, basically, of Kirk and Han Solo.
Yeah, okay, that's
People
fair.
Are Kirk should be more like Han Solo. They were pretty similar, those characters, weren't they? They were always kissing chicks.
Not even a little bit.
They were pretty similar. They were kissing chicks and they were handsome men. So let's have that. Let's have that for every character in Star Trek now. Let's take down the
everybody
system.
get your pants off.
And that's the thing now. In modern Star Trek, including Discovery and including Lower Decks, it's the people who don't fit in Starfleet who are the heroes, rather than the people who do fit in Starfleet.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that's interesting, though, isn't it?
It's very interesting. It's a cultural reflection of our times, I think. It doesn't necessarily make one thing bad or one thing good.
It's just a shift.
It's a shift, but if what you love about Star Trek is...
the code.
The kind of... I mean, what I'm about to say exists because it's cheaper. But Star Trek was about sitting in rooms and having conversations and challenging cultural preconceptions, not saying, screw this, I'm a superhero, and kicking the captain in the head and doing a flip and ending up saving everybody. The people who do that in The Next Generation and the original series, they go to jail or get killed or cause massive international interplanetary incidents.
Khan!
For example. But, you know, the Next Generation is full of starship captains gone rogue. And they're always the villains, basically.
Yeah. They are.
Deep Space Nine brought a bit of a moral ambiguity into it, where during a time of war, things had to be done. But it's a very different reason to enjoy Star Trek. And, you know, for hooker by hook or by crook, Ben, if you like it, you like it. I just don't think it's very funny. I just don't think it's as good as Rick and Morty.
It is just uncomfortably trying to capture that Rick and Morty vibe, and it doesn't work because they keep pulling their punches a lot of the time.
Well, it's aimed younger, isn't it? Although Rick and Morty is, well, it definitely is. They do swear though, don't they?
They do, yeah.
They do. Everyone's swearing on Star Trek now.
And there's a lot of like sexual weird cartoon sexual tension.
Yeah, but there's no weird cartoon sex.
Thank God for that, Michael.
And like the gore and stuff is a lot less overt than Rick and Morty.
People get stabbed in the foot sometimes, Michael.
Yeah, and there's a good bit of blood, but horrible things happen in Rick and Morty, like that Cronenberg episode.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. And I mean, the one where Jack Quaid gets chewed on by a suckling spider and stuff.
That's weird.
It's a weird show. It's a weird show. I don't find it as repulsive as some people seem to find it.
Is there a big backlash against it in the Star Trek community?
There's a big backlash against it in the traditionalist Star Trek community, but the same people who hate new Trek films and who hate Discovery and who hated Picard absolutely hate this. I think they see this, although I don't want to put words in other people's mouths, but I think they see this as the distillation of what's wrong with the modern studio's understanding of Star Trek.
Okay. So
anyway,
it's become something of a useful straw man, Michael.
You could say that. Yeah, you could say that for sure. And the fact that it's mostly female led is
what an insult.
Is a thing.
The audacity.
The audacity. The absolute audacity.
We've come full circle from that being a positive segment on the podcast to it being a bitter, I don't want women in my stuff.
Get women out of there. There's too many women in Starfleet.
More than that, it's women of colour, which, boy.
I did think it was interesting that I've become obsessed with Amazon X-Ray, Ben, as you know.
Yeah.
And the captain of the starship Sirocco that they're on is a black lady. And
yes.
When the show started, the first thing that came up on X-Ray was I can't remember the captain's name. Captain Hawkins is the first female black captain of a starship in the Star Trek universe. And I was like, all right, that's good to know. When are we going to have the first
Irish captain?
There hasn't been an Irish captain, but I mean, look, let's not get into it because representation is important, Ben. But
no, that's not what I'm saying. It's just a weird thing to claim on your cartoon show.
It is a little bit strange, and I mean, Michael Burnham. Okay, she's not the captain, but she is the main character of Discovery as well. It's a bit of an insult to poor old Michael.
Weird flex.
Weird flex.
Tell me something, Michael, because there's a joke. There's one particular joke, Michael, that I don't understand in the show.
Go on.
And it's a very throwaway joke. Right at the end of one of the episodes, right?
Yes, I've seen it.
They're talking about it's in the future of the Star Trek thing, and Jack.
Fuck that show. Absolutely fuck them. I forgot to give out about this. This is why I hate it. So, so the main character, Jack Quaid's character, Bloinkin, is that his name?
Boyum.
I can't remember. Anyway, he's very rule abiding. He's a model Starfleet officer, and
he's great.
He's accidentally attributed with the idea of letting everyone slack off.
Yeah. That's it.
And he says, "Don't worry about it. Everyone will forget about it." And then hundreds of years in the future, he's remembered as the biggest slacker, the laziest Starfleet officer of all time. and one of the most influential officers in the history of Starfleet. And then they say, well, anyway, let's move on and look at the real...
this is the joke.
Yeah, let's look at the real most important officer in Starfleet history, Miles O'Brien. And then they show a caricature of him as if that's some sort of joke and he's not that important. But fuck this show. Miles O'Brien is the best Starfleet officer who has ever lived. He's the most important person who's ever set foot on a starship.
So that's what I wanted to know. Is Miles O'Brien some kind of joke in the Star Trek universe?
No, but I mean, he's a side character. He's
Okay.
He is a transporter chief. He's a non-commissioned officer, Ben. An NCO.
Okay.
You know, he's never going to be a captain of a starship or anything like that. He's an engineer and a technician.
Okay. Good for him.
Yeah, so they just picked someone they picked someone known but a bit inconsequential.
Oh, okay. That's a kind of an insulting thing to do to poor Colin Meaney.
Yeah, so fuck that show. That's where they lost me.
Yeah, that's because I was interested. I was like, oh, I didn't know Miles O'Brien was the butt of a lot of jokes in the Star Wars universe.
Star Trek, Ben.
In the Star Wars universe.
Yeah,
and, you know,
just running with
it's
that,
a bit like the Mandalorian character, Tomashin O'Skibberton, who's from the planet Potato.
Oh, look at me, I've got my arms a sweater on.
And that was a weird episode where he wanted to fight the Noir and Browns, which was an invading alien race, and they came in and they were burning down people's land. It was terrible. Black and Tan's joke, Michael.
I got it.
It was just very bad.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
And it was just I just found it interesting. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't realize that we were going to make fun of paddies. Okay,
because
cool.
Ben,
Good to know.
I don't think it was particularly making fun of paddies, but how very dare they, Ben? Because if we were to launch the crew of our famous segment, Irishmen Suspense, if we were going to take all of those famous Irishmen and launch them into space, Colin Meaney as Chief Miles O'Brien would be on that starship, and he would be the most vital and important person on that starship. How very
He'd
dare
get
they.
us to and from planets.
No, he'd be the captain. We'd be like, I know you're a non-commissioned officer, Miles, but we're not in Starfleet. We're on the SSS Cuchulainn. I've stolen that from the lads from the USS Cuchulainn. Let's come up with a different one. We'll have to come up with a better name. We're on the SS McRide, and named after one of the elder statesmen of Ireland in space. And Miles O'Brien, you are the captain. Deal with it.
Gotcha.
And he'd be like, oh, Jesus, what about Keiko? I was like,
who else is on that ship?
She can come with us. Who else is on that ship? Well, there's Miles O'Brien, obviously. There's Sean Cassidy, a.k.a. the Banshee.
Yeah, nice.
And Teresa Cassidy, a.k.a. Siren.
Yeah.
There's Tom Cruise from Far and Away. He's there. Yeah. He's
is
also...
there the Irish android from Alien played by Michael Fashty?
Yeah, there's what's his name? Brian? Ian?
I can't remember.
It's Dave the android. He's there as well. Only his head though, because it got ripped off. He's there as well. He's on the spaceship. The entire cast and crew of Mystic Knights of Tir na Nog are also there.
Oh, sold.
Yeah, they're the away team, Ben. We beam them
They're
down
our
to
shock
fight monsters.
troopers.
Yeah. Like, oh, fuck, there's Klingons or something. Beam over the fucking Mystic Knights of Tir na Nog. They'll kick the shit out of them. Be grand. There's Cuchulainn, Ben, legendary Irish hero Cuchulainn. He's on the ship with us.
Is he the first officer? Please make him the first officer.
He's the first officer, but he's likely to go out to lose that rag and just Hulk out.
Oh, he's Worf. No, he's our Worf.
He's our security chief. Yeah,
he's our Worf. But he keeps fucking spears at people with lasers and it gets awkward.
Yeah. It's no use. It's like, come on, Cuchulainn, for fuck's sake, get your act together. Let the Mystic Knights handle this.
It's a clone of Cuchulainn, and he still uses spears in space.
Yeah, like Callis from Star Trek. Who else is on the ship, Ben? Who else have we covered in this segment?
We need more female representation. Is there so? Oh, we could get whatchamacallit from the Matchmaker. Well, what's that?
Janine Garofalo.
Janine Garofalo.
She's American, Ben. You can't have
He has
her
a tentative connection.
Yeah, all right.
Emily Blunt enjoys playing an Irish woman.
Janine Garofalo's there, Ben. She's the ship's counselor, obviously. And she's trying to stop everyone from falling in love or get everyone to fall in love.
Stop riding in space.
Yeah. All the handsome men are English, obviously.
Who's a really annoying Irish character who can play our Wesley?
That would be Zig and or Zag.
It has to be both.
Yeah, they both
It's just the pair of them. Oh, Michael. This is by and far the best improvised bit we have ever done on this podcast.
That's what we'd be doing. That's what would be going on. They'd be on the SS McRide, up in space, having great adventures.
I love it. I would watch the shit out of that show.
Yeah, I know. Well, not unless we had a podcast to do on it, then you'd probably forget.
Well, that was mean.
It was, sorry.
All right, big man. Okay, you got your shots off.
Let's bloody move on then, Ben. What are we talking about this week?
No. I probably haven't seen it, so we can just stop here. Wow.
I tell you what, Ben.
Go on.
For this week, for Irishmen's Boss 9?
85.
85. We're really scraping the bottom of the barrel, Ben.
Yeah, tam with Teresh Dul Dirk. Gadi Bonham Baralya.
Very good.
Neil Flack Faka. Neil Sup Faka. It's dry times, Michael. Not since the famine have we been sober reft.
Oh, he'd be there as well. The fella from Black 47, he'd be there on the ship
I thought
as well.
you just meant the famine.
No, not the famine. Not the concept of the famine. But the fella from Black 47, he'd be there. He'd be John Rambo.
The Romulan we need would be called Trevelyan. That's what we'd have to call the Romulans.
Very good, Ben.
The Trevalyans.
So we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel, Ben. But luckily, some of the good friends of the podcast came to our rescue.
They did, Michael.
And I found one last Irishman's space that we didn't know about, Ben.
Go on.
Ben, have you ever heard of 1996's Jerry Anderson's Space Precinct?
I think you know I haven't, Michael.
I know that sounds like something I've just made up, but it wasn't,
does.
Ben. It's something that I watched in the 90s, and I was very kindly reminded of it by my good friend and yours, Cron.
Oh, good.
From the Cron Craft Show, Ben.
We love the Croncraft show here at the podcast, Michael.
Do you remember Cron, Ben, from before times when we used to see him sometimes?
Yeah. He used to pop up sometimes.
Yeah. So Cron reminded me of Space Precinct, Ben. Space Precinct was a television show on the British channels, Ben. By Jerry Anderson.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Jerry Anderson, Ben?
Not even in the slightest.
You are, Ben. He is a seminal science fiction artist and television maker extraordinaire, Benjamin. You would know him, Ben. You would know him, Ben, from the Thunderbirds.
I do know him from the Thunderbirds.
Yes, you would know him from Captain Scarlet.
Your man there from the Captain Scarlet.
You would know him, Ben, from UFO.
Your man there from the UFO.
You would know him, Ben, from the one under the water. What was that called? Thunderbirds.
Your man there from that one under the water. What was it called?
Yes, that's the fella.
Oh yeah, classics, one and all.
And Benjamin,
that was Neptune's Stingray.
Yeah.
That was Stingray.
Yes, it was. And what he did, Ben, in the 90s was he made a live-action televisual program starring Ben. Essentially what it is.
Go on.
Is NYPD Blue.
Okay.
Crossed with Doctor Who.
Okay.
Crossed with the Muppets.
Oh yeah.
Crossed with, all the vehicles and starships and stuff are done by the people behind Thunderbirds.
Michael, this sounds like magic.
It's a magic concept, Ben. So it's
a bit like our Irishmen's Boss literally being on a ship together.
Yeah, they'd be all on the ship together, Ben. We beam the fucking Mystic Knights over to the Klingons and go, but do whatever you do.
Michael, I hazard a guess that very much like our show, it probably shouldn't be made.
It was very expensive, Ben. It cost like 360 million or something.
Get out of town.
It's quite Star Trek-y, Star Wars-y in that it's populated by like a variety of different aliens.
Okay.
But the kind of groundbreaking thing about the aliens is every single alien, essentially. I think there's one type of alien who are basically just humans. But there aren't any aliens who are just humans with a prosthetic. Every single type of alien involves some sort of puppetry.
Okay. I don't know how I feel about that now.
They're mostly humanoid, but for example, Ben, there's one type of alien where their eyes are out here on the sides of their heads.
Oh, yeah.
So they're played by human actors, Ben.
Now, hang on, Michael, because I'm going to have to put this in the... Yeah, just give me 2 seconds now to get an L screen grab there.
All right.
It's very hard for the listeners to envision that.
There we go. Look, I'm doing the thing.
There we go. Look at you there now. Look at
you
there now. Okay, you're grand now. You can stop.
Photoshop my eyes off onto my hands, Ben.
Okay, look at you now.
There you go. So
thanks very much. That'll be lovely for content.
Very good, Ben. So the reason that we've gone down this rabbit hole, very unsuccessful, Ben. Very unsuccessful. Massively expensive to produce.
Oh.
And no one knew what it was. Was it an adult, hard-boiled sci-fi series that was like NYPD Blue in space? Or was it a kids' action show?
Yeah.
Or was it a high-concept science fiction show? When should you play it? Should you play it with the Muppets? Or should you play it at 10 o'clock at night? So people just played it at 3 in the morning and went, what the fuck is this thing? Get it out there. But the reason we're talking about it, Ben, is that it has an Irishman suspense.
Oh, it's a hidden Irishman suspense.
And I completely forgot about him, Ben. I
didn't know about him.
He is... Right, well, first of all, he's not an Irishman, Ben, because he's a flippin' alien.
What?
He's an alien.
Suspense.
Suspense, yeah, he's an alien. He's one of the faraway eye fellas. I forget what they're called. But he is the police captain on this distant planet in the future in space. I think it's only 2040. It doesn't make any sense. But
we'll all be in space by 2040, Michael.
We'll all be in space, Ben, and aliens will have so long since integrated into human culture that there will be space police captains with Irish American accents.
Oh, yeah. Sure, look, it'll only take 20 years for that massive cultural shift to take place. So let's be honest.
Yeah. So
all right, okay. Let's be realistic, Michael. It's probably going to be around 2045 at this rate.
At this rate, Ben, what with the hindrances of the last couple of years?
Coronavirus has slowed down our progress massively.
Very upsetting. So his name is Captain Podley, Ben.
Oh, I already don't like it.
And he's Irish. He's like, I'll tell you what, boys, we're going to have to go over and investigate those murders as soon as we can. I'll tell you who we'll send. We'll send you, the main actor who's American. We'll send over this fella here with the eyes too far apart. We'll send over this lady with the extra eye in the middle of her head. And we'll send over the Mystic Knights of Tiernan Oak. And then you'll all go over there and investigate and you'll come back to me with the answers. Do you hear me now?
Wow.
That's what he is. And Ben, the great mystery is never solved of why is he Irish? What's going on? Why is he Irish or is he Irish American? Why
They
does
do that sometimes, though.
What's going on? Where did this alien pick up this accent? Although, if you remember back to Discovery, Ben, not Discovery, Picard.
Okay.
There was some good amount of amusement to be had by us Irish people, suspense, of the couple of Romulans with Irish accents.
Oh yeah, classics.
The Romulans who'd learned English in Ireland. So I can only assume that this alien police captain went to some sort of human English for alien police captain schools. And all the police captains were just, hello and welcome to today's How to Be a Police Captain. You'll want to be gruff but lovable, with a sense of rules but also fairness.
Jesus Christ.
But
the accuracy of that statement is uncomfortably on point.
You never find out, Ben, why he's fucking Irish at all. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
That sounds maddening.
Yeah. So it just goes back to, like, I suppose it makes as much sense as any of the aliens having American accents, Ben, or British accents.
Right.
There's a Danish actress in it, Ben, and she has an English accent for some reason. That doesn't make any sense either, I suppose.
Because they learnt their English in England.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that, Ben. And what I've done there is set you up nicely for people with Irish heritage.
Yeah, you did real well there, Michael. So
Thanks.
One of the things that got me thinking, Michael, was a nice little. Again, we turn to the listeners, Michael, because as we said, we're egg bun and baralia, Michael. We don't have nothing left.
Not a fucking thing.
You'll whack on, right? So we went and turned, but Shane gave us an L shout there and said, Shane gave us an L. Who's that?
That's the Danish actress with the English accent. What? Doesn't make any sense.
So Shane came to the rescue and he said, what about Jerry Adams' weird portrayal of, what about Pierce Brosnan's weird portrayal of Jerry Adams in the weird film The Foreigner with Jackie Chan? And Michael, good God,
yes.
what an interesting bit of stereotyping from a tone-deaf movie.
Now, Benjamin, I've never seen The Foreigner. I do believe I was there the day that they filmed Jackie Chan jumping over the gates of Dublin Castle.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think I was there.
That was for a different film.
Oh, is this a different film?
That was for The Ring or something. I can't remember what that one was called. The Golden Ring or something.
Oh,
that was a
yeah,
different
I think
film.
you're right. So what's this one then?
This one, Michael, is... So, Jackie Chan's daughter in this film
Yeah.
is studying in London.
Right, I've heard of it. Yeah, big city, just to the
Right?
east there.
Big city, over there.
To the
British.
east. Yeah, yeah.
And that's important in the plot of this film.
British as the day is long.
And, Michael, this is set in the old modern times now. This is 2018.
All right.
Thereabouts. And, Michael, the bakery that she is in, that Jackie Chan is about to go and see his daughter in, is blown up by none other
Yeah.
than the IRA.
Benjamin, I don't believe that would happen in a 2018 film.
No, it wouldn't. So this is the first... This is the first big black mark against this film. Right? So what Jackie Chan does, it turns out that Jackie Chan is ex-special operations from China.
Right.
And he goes to the Met and he says, I want justice for my daughter. And he's
Right.
dismissed by the Met and said, look, this is the IRA. What can you do? It'll take years to get justice.
Ben, is this
so
real?
what Jackie Chan does is he takes on the IRA.
Get out of here.
So this film is Jackie Chan versus the IRA.
Very good. Very exciting.
Right? But it's not the IRA that you or I would understand it as.
Right.
It's the IRA as it would have been reported in British tabloid papers back in the day.
Back in the 80s and 90s.
So every paddy is a thug.
Yeah.
Every paddy is a possible terrorist.
Right.
You can't trust a single one of them.
Yeah.
They're a disorganized rabble. They're splintered in their own ranks, and they've all got dirty secrets.
Right.
Right?
Now, Ben, I have to say, to be fair now, before we go any further, I've no issue whatsoever with the IRA being portrayed in a negative light
Oh, no, that's fine.
in media. Well, fair
That's-
enough. They did kill a lot of people.
That's not my issue, Michael.
You could argue it was justified. It's going to be an argument for the ages. But I've no issue with them being portrayed negatively. Sometimes they're portrayed too positively.
I think that's also a crime, Michael, and fair enough. But in this film, Michael, they are just a giant gang of scumbags who are going around fucking up England, and it's a really weird portrayal. Jerry Adams, and it's not Jerry Adams, I can't remember what fucking paddywhackery name they give him, but it's not Jerry, but it is Jerry Adams. It's just Jerry Adams,
Right.
played by Pierce Brosnan, is supposed to be this kind of menacing, all-authoritative figure, and it boils down to a showdown between Jerry Adams and Jackie Chan.
Does Jerry Adams kick Jackie Chan in the head?
No, that's where they pull their punch at the last minute. You're expecting kind of a Jackie Chan versus Jerry Adams, fight off, and we never get it, Michael. And that's the ultimate disappointment.
I would love to see that, Ben. That would be worth the price of admission.
But it struck me, Michael, as an incredibly tone-deaf film for 2018. Because the way that the supporting characters went, the IRA are always at this. They're always blowing up locations in the UK. And that's not true in 2018.
It's been a while.
It's just not true.
It's been a while, lads.
And it was so... And nobody questions it, by the way. There's not like, was this maybe ISIS? Was this maybe, nothing like that. It's like, it was the IRA.
Yeah,
look, they bombed the bakery. It was the IRA.
Surely there are more modern villains you could pin this on.
And that's what struck me. And then, Michael, it reminded me, right, of a couple of strange things that happened to the Northern Irish accent, right?
Go on. Are we going to do Northern Irish accents, Ben? This could.
I am.
This could
you
be
can
great.
join in if you like.
This could be great.
So I was recently listening to Stephen Fry's Heroes. It's one of his Greek mythology retelling books.
All right.
In an Audible thing. And it's read by Stephen Fry himself.
Yes.
And at one point, he depicts the king Eurystheus, who was the man in charge of Hercules' labours, right?
Yes.
And bit of a dick, right? Eurystheus was a bitter, jealous, kind of decrepit old man. And he does what can only be described as his very best Ian Paisley impression every time that Eurystheus speaks. So what you get is, now you listen here, Hercules. I have been given the task of setting you several tasks, and you'll do them. It's just the strangest fucking thing. No other character in the book is from Northern Ireland. The other people from that kingdom are not from Northern Ireland. His daughter is not from Northern Ireland. It's just him. And it struck me as incredibly interesting, Michael, that these weird, villainous, militant characters are given Northern Irish accents, because there are other characters in the book and he gives them like a Devon accent or a Brummie accent or a Liverpool accent. But the big bad, like the real dickhead, is given a Northern Irish accent. And I was like, huh.
And is it Ian Paisley or is it Jerry Adams?
No, it's Ian Paisley. It's Ian Paisley. He has all the rhetoric and the kind of religious kind of, Bible bashing stuff. At one point, I'm fairly certain he says the word gnashing, as in that famous quote to the gnashing of teeth.
I wonder if Stephen Fry, though, doesn't particularly like Ian Paisley for the religious side of things more so than the fanaticism side of things.
It reminded me, Michael, of Artemis Fowl, because back in the day when Artemis Fowl came out...
Never heard of it.
Artemis Fowl, noted folkloric retelling, Artemis Fowl, children's book series here by one Owen Colfer, made into a horrific Disney movie at one point.
Never heard of it, never seen it.
Anyway.
Did we cover that? Should we have
did,
talked about that in an Irishman's Boss episode? I don't remember.
We covered all that. But what happened is, in that, Michael, there have been 2 renditions of that audiobook. One of them was done by noted stage actor here in Ireland, Adrian Dunbar. And another was covered by Audible later on. And I wondered to myself, when I was looking it up again for this very podcast, Michael, I was like, I wonder why they changed the recording. And then I found an old MP3 version of the Adrian Dunbar one. And the reason they changed that goddamn recording, Michael, is anytime it switched nationality, Adrian Dunbar would attempt to do the accent of that nationality.
I think we've talked about this before, Ben. I think you've said this before. I think this is
one of your favorite rants.
I think this is your favorite rant that you always go back to.
What a shame. So, at one point, Artemis Fowl, at the beginning of the book, meets a Vietnamese fairy.
Yes, no good.
And Adrian Dunbar, the middle-aged white man from Ireland, decides that he can do a Vietnamese accent.
Who can't?
Who can't? And what we get, Michael, is Breakfast at Tiffany's Mickey Rooney. And it's rough. But then, Michael, when he introduces the militant commander of the underground forces, he makes him Northern Irish.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Oh, not again.
So, the militant commander of the police forces of the fairy world is a gruff and aggressive Northern Irishman. The goblins, which are a gang culture, are given a Latino LA
No
accent.
good. Don't do that. Benjamin, didn't we have this issue, though, where Judi Dench appeared to be doing an Irish accent?
She did!
In the film, which I definitely haven't seen. Speaking of Irish accents, Ben, and this is again retreading old water that we've tread before.
Look, we've in bottom of the barrel, Michael.
In one of our earlier Irishmen's Boss episodes, we talked about Angel, the TV show Angel, and how the kind of representative Irishman's Boss was the character Doyle.
Oh yeah,
played by the Irish actor Glenn Quinn, and that it was humorous that they had an Irish actor who had to Irish it up a bit because, Americans weren't reading him as Irish enough, doing his Irish accent. So he had to be a bit more, look, we figure it out like Boss. No, that's terrible.
Boss is the classic.
So the funny thing about Angel, having now rewatched all 5 seasons of it, Ben, is, as you know, Angel himself is also portrayed as an Irish character. And I always found it amusing that his name was Liam and he was from Galway and he became a vampire and then he moved to Dublin.
Liam from Galway.
Liam from Galway. He's an old cat in the scoundrel. We never learned his last name. McShenanigans, I imagine.
It's just Liam. Irish people don't have second names, Michael.
So I always thought it was weird that he was Irish in flashbacks and then American in real life day to day. But I've rewatched Angel all 5 seasons recently, Ben, and I'm pretty convinced that David Boreanaz thought he was playing Angel as Irish. I'm pretty convinced that throughout that whole show, Angel was supposed to be Irish, and it was so hit and miss that sometimes you forgot. I'd love to give David Boreanaz the benefit of the doubt and say that his accent is inconsistent because he's been to so many countries, and depending on who he's talking to and where he is, some of the old Irishness comes back out. But I just think most of the time he forgets to do it.
Yeah, I think that's probably it, isn't it? Oh, yeah, my character's Irish. Oh
he's
yeah.
fucking Irish, goddammit.
God damn it.
Goddamn Irish.
And then he was like, Joss, is it too late? And Joss was like, no, do it. I'm going to go bully some other actors. Hang on.
Oh, hey, hold on now. Allegedly.
I got him. I got noted wealthy writer Joss Whedon.
You bloody nailed him, Ben. Ben, do you have any more Irishmen to spouse for us?
No, we're going to call it a day, Michael.
Alrighty then.
We're 55 minutes in, Michael. That's a fine, respectable episode.
That will do it.
We will have more Irish tales on our next Shapeshifter episode, Shapeshifters Part 2, but that's not coming up for a while. Don't worry, I've got other Irish tales to do with shapeshifters and stuff, Michael. So we'll have more Irish content in the future. Don't you worry.
Exciting.
Don't you worry. I haven't checked the calendar for next week, Michael. I probably should have done that before we did this particular episode. But I'm going to spin my wheels and you're going to check the calendar very quickly and tell people what's on next week. Ladies and gentlemen, what other examples of underappreciated Irishmen or women in space do you have? Do you have any weird moments where a character is inexplicably Irish? Let us know what they are. You can get in touch with us in a number of ways. We're on the interwebs at www.seomrabeag.com, SEOMRABEAG.com.
It means tiny room in Irish, kind of.
We're also on the gram at Seomrabeag, SEOMRABEAG.
Still means tiny room, kind of.
It still means tiny room. It hasn't changed. Did you check the calendar?
Yeah, next week we're talking about, Ben, which, in honor of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which old school villains could be dragged out and given a makeover and made cool and modern.
That's actually going to be a fun episode. I'm quite looking forward to that one, Michael.
Very good.
So you can get in touch with us and let us know which weird retro Marvel villains do you think
or
need
DC.
a bit of
Why not DC? Yeah,
or DC. Look, we'll do the whole smorgasbord. We'll give them a bloody dead-shotting, a bloody Zemoing. Which villains do you think need an update, and how would you update them? More importantly, what little twist would you give our old retro villain to have them in the new Falcon and Winter Soldier series? What would you do?
Who would you give a twist?
Yeah, so we'll take a look at that next week, ladies and gentlemen. That's it from us this week. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I hope it's a lovely time for you, even though you'll be shut indoors. So just get blackout drunk anyway.
Isn't that the spirit of it?
Bye-bye.
Bye now. Bye.